seventh graders, we're going to move on to solving inequalities that involve multiplication and division. So, these are questions that are similar to the ones where you divide and solve. So, for example, n over 2 is equal to, well, for example, or negative 5n is equal to 35. Okay? They're similar to these, but again, instead of the equal sign, we're going to change this to less than or equal to, for example, or greater than or equal to. Okay? And so, at the end again, we're going to have to graph the solution because the solution isn't just one number. It could be any number starting with the number that we find. And there's another step in these. There's one more concept that you're going to have to add. And that is that when the coefficient is negative, reverse the sign after you find the solution. Reverse the sign. Okay?
Why?
In order to make this solution true. You're going to have to do that in order to make the solution true. All right? So, let's take this example. What is the coefficient? What is a coefficient? What does that even mean? Remember that word?
It's like number without any like variable.
Yeah. It's the number attached to the variable. It's the number that is either being multiplied by the variable, like negative 5, or in this case, it is actually 1/2, or it's n over 2. So, it's the number that's attached to the variable in some way. Usually by multiplication, sometimes by division, or division is a way of writing multiplication. Okay? So we have to look and see if it's positive or negative. How about n over 2? Is that positive or negative? Is n over 2, and this right here, this term, is that a positive term or negative term? Well, does anyone see any negative signs?
Yes.
Right here? Well, we're talking about the one that I circled. Is this a positive term or negative term? Negative. It's positive. If it's positive, then you do not have to reverse the sign at the end. Then the sign stays the way that it's shown. Okay? Do not reverse the sign. Okay? How about on the next one? Is this a positive term or negative term, Jack? Negative. You see, it's not a hard concept. It's just hard to remember sometimes. At the end, once you get the solution, instead of it saying greater than or equal to, we have to change it to less than or equal to. We have to reverse the sign. Change it from greater than to less than. Point it the other way in order to get the solution, in order to make the solution true. Okay? So let's go through and solve both of these. How do we solve this? N over 2. Try to get rid of this so we can solve it. Okay, so this n over 2, what do we do to solve n over 2? get rid of the 2? Remember, Peter?
Don't you multiply? No, you divide the. Wait, no, I don't remember.
You're
It's like
on the
you
right
have to
track.
divide.
Multiply
Yeah.
by, Matt?
Negative or just 2?
2
And then
over
put 1, and then you would cancel out 2 and 2, and then on the other side, what?
2 over 2, they cancel out and become 1 over 1. Because 2 divided by 2, if we reduce this, means we take the 2's away and we're left with 1.
And then I think you do the same thing on the other side.
Yep. So on this side we're left with 1n, because 1 times n is 1n. And 1n over 1 is just n.
Do we do anything on that side?
Now, and then we go to the other side and multiply by,
2 over 1.
if it was a fraction, we could write 2 over 1 and multiply that. But this is just a whole number, so we can do 12 times 2.
24.
Yep. And then we need to graph this. So n is less than or equal to 24. Mark where 0 is. This is the graph of n. Mark where 24 is. This says n is less. The variable's written first. So we can use a solid dot from this sign, and then an arrow to the left. N is less than that. And we need to check this. We talked about this yesterday, that I was going to show you today how to check this. So, to check it, we need to choose a number that fits in the solution area. So, we could pick 0, for example. 0 is in the solution area. And then put 0 divided by 2 is less than or equal to 12. Is that true?
Yeah.
That is true. And so we know we have the correct side, or the correct area shaded. If we had picked, let's say 26. 26 divided by 2 is 13. 13 is not less than 12. So we know we've shaded the correct side, right? Now, let's go to this one.
Would 2 times 12 work equals 24? Because it's equal to it.
Yes, right, yeah, so you could pick 24 and check that because, and that's what the solid dot means. The solid dot, again, we talked about this earlier, the solid dot means 24 is a part of the solution. Okay? 24 would make this true because it says less than or equal to, right? Now, let's go over here. How do we solve this type of question? What can we do on both sides? People know. Kate, do you know? You don't know? Read it.
You do 5 divided by n.
Divided by -5. So that we can cross out the same number.
No, that's not what it is.
That's what you meant, right?
No.
Okay, well that's what we should do. We should divide by the same number so that we can take out the -5s and we're left with 1n. Just like crossing out 2 over 2, you want to cross out -5 over -5. So divide both sides by -5. And that shows 1n would be greater than or equal to -7. But because we're dividing by a negative number, because the coefficient is negative, you have to reverse the sign to get the solution. So n is less than, not greater than or equal to. Less than or equal to -7. Okay? So when we graph this, graph of n, 0, -7, mark it with a solid dot, and arrow to the left. Okay. Now, let's check this and see if it works, because I said you have to reverse the sign in order to make the solution true. So, pick a number that is to the left of 7. Or sorry, -7. That is less than -7. -8. Let's try -8. We'll check it with -8. -5 times -8. Is that greater than or equal to 35?
No. Well, it's greater, but it's not equal to.
No, is it greater than or equal to? Is that statement true?
Yes, it's only greater.
Yes. Okay? Remember, when you check it with the original equation. That makes it true. Okay? So in order to get the solution, you have to reverse the sign. Well, let's say you forget to reverse the sign. Let's say that you shaded this way. Let's just say that you forgot accidentally. And so when you check the solution, you put in 0, because 0 is on the shaded side. Let's check the other side and see if that works. Would that be correct? -5 times 0.
Yeah.
Is that greater than or equal to 35?
No.
Is 0 greater than or equal to 35?
No.
No. That does not work. You have to reverse the sign in order to get the solution. Yes?
Are you getting 7 times 5 equals 35?
Yeah, but that would be -30. 7 is positive. Do you mean -7?
Yeah, -7 times -5 equals 35.
Right. And since it's a solid dot, -7 is part of the solution. All right? What's the key here? You have to reverse the sign when the coefficient is negative. Okay? All right, I'm going to give you some practice problems. Now, the first thing I want you to do is go through all of the coefficients, look at all the coefficients in 1 through 5, and write positive or negative above them. Let's look at all of them right away. Number 1, what is the coefficient? Number 1, what is the coefficient tape? Is that the number attached to the variable?
Oh, it's -4.
Yeah, -4. So that is negative. And what do you have to do? Reverse the sign. So reverse the sign right away. How about the next one? Is that negative? What's the coefficient, Nate?
Let's see. Oh, wait, no. The coefficient is 3n. Right?
Look carefully.
The problem, Nate.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking at the.
Number 1.
Oh!
Number 2. Come on, you guys. This is not. Isn't there a minus? There's a minus sign in front of the 3.
You're pointing at.
See
You
that?
don't know where you're pointing at. First you're pointing right above it, the square above it, and you're pointing at it. You got confused on there.
Yeah, you're on the other problem. You're switching problems in the middle.
Okay, I'm on number 2. We just did number 1. I'm on number 2. What is the coefficient? -3. Just -3. That's the number that's next to the variable. And that is negative. And so we have to reverse the sign at the end. Is the next one negative? Trevor? No, that's positive. So you don't need to reverse the sign at the end.
Is this all
Right?
good?
No, and you have to go through and solve them. But I want to do number 5 with you. Let's go to number 5. The only thing different about number 5 is that the variable is not on the left side. You have to start on the right side this time. How do you solve number 5, Armand? Multiply both sides by
Reciprocal. So -7 over.
good, -7/1. So we want to leave the n. We don't want to cross out the n. But we want to cross out the -7s. And we're multiplying by a negative, so we have to reverse the sign. 1n is equal to 21. So 21 is less than or equal to n. Now, how do we graph this? What does that mean again? What does that mean for graphing? 21 is less than or equal to n. That means,
We gotta switch them around from n to n.
right, now that means that n is greater than or equal to 21. Right? And when I graph it, that means I mark 21 with a solid dot and arrow to the right. Now, is that reversing the sign when I do that?
No, you switched the
Because I switched the numbers and the sign, the whole thing around. I did not reverse just the sign. Okay? This means the exact same thing. When you're reversing the sign, you are changing the meaning. Okay? You're changing the solution sign. When you turn this around, this does not change the solution sign. I want you to understand that. Okay? This is just going to help me graph it. Any questions on that?
Sure.
You have a question, Raiden?
No.
You said sure.
Oh, come on.
And then there's 3 on the back side. All right. Get started.